So our chapter is about Grendel. Now Grendel is a powerful monster in pain, living in the darkness. Now I know what that smile suggests, but Grendel is in a lot of pain. This chapter being about Grendel makes Grendel our first major character. Before we can really get to Grendel, we have to go and talk about the Almighty. Now this ball right here represents the Almighty. Now the Almighty created everything, from the birds to the trees to basically everything. And all the warriors worshipped and loved the Almighty because the Almighty was good. Very, very good. So the Almighty was good, and Grendel was evil. Now a little backstory on Grendel. Grendel is a descendant of Cain, and Cain killed his brother Abel. Now the Almighty didn't like that one bit at all. So the Almighty cursed Cain and all of his descendants, which includes Grendel, so Grendel will never feel the Lord's love. So inside Grendel is actually very sad and pretty evil. Actually, he's totally evil. And here's why, and this brings us to our third major character, because the Almighty was actually our second major character. So this young fellow, I know you may be wondering who he is. This is King Hrothgar, who lives in Hert. Now let's examine the king. The king looks pretty chill, has his hands in his pockets, looks pretty content. Actually, he should be happy here. Let me make that a smile. There you go, now the king looks happy. But let me tell you what happened when Grendel decided to walk in one night into the king's king. This is what happens. Look how sad he is now. He went from being all happy to sad. And yes, this right here is a river of blood. Because one fateful night, Grendel decided to kill 30 of the king's men. 30 men. Just decided one night, hey, I'm powerful, I'm big, I'm gonna kill 30 men. Now I know what you're all thinking, that's messed up. Well, one moment the king was at the top of the world, and the next, he was sad crying on top of a river of blood from all of his friends. And the next morning he cried, and they feasted and cried a lot more for their fallen comrades and warriors and friends. Now do you think Grendel stopped at 30 men? No! Grendel kept going and killing to his heart's desire. So eventually, all the warriors left Hert, and Hert was a desolate place for 7 years, which turned a happy king into a very, very sad king. But the king did have one thing going for him. The king was protected by the Almighty. So Grendel, no matter what Grendel did, no matter how powerful Grendel was, Grendel couldn't even touch King Hrothgar. It's like the Almighty had this gigantic red force field that I'm drawing. But that didn't stop Grendel, like I said earlier, from killing 30 men, and just kept on killing and killing and killing to Grendel's heart's desire. Well, I know what you're all asking. Why would Grendel do such a thing? Well, it's because the theme of this story is good versus evil. With the Almighty being good and Grendel being evil. Now say it with me. Almighty good, Grendel evil. Almighty good, Grendel evil.
Now we will be explaining the epic traits that are evident in Grendel. Our chapter has many epic traits that are shared with other epics back in the Anglo-Saxon time period. These traits include setting, plot, Fame. Finally, style. The setting in most epics often involves more than one nation. This is evident in our chapter because it takes place in two places: Hell, where Grendel is banished from, and in the real world, where Grendel wreaks havoc among the king's people. The plot in our chapter is also similar to most epics, as it is complicated by a supernatural being, which is Grendel. Our chapter also shows themes of courage and honor by the king to protect his people. And finally, the style of Grendel includes a serious tone, which is evident in most epics in that Anglo-Saxon time period. Next, we will be explaining hero traits. In the chapter Grendel, King Hrothgar would be the hero. King Hrothgar is the hero in this chapter because he has the qualities that an epic hero must have. These qualities include being of a noble and high position, carrying out courageous deeds, and he carries out actions that determines the fate of a group. Next, we'll be explaining the Anglo-Saxon relation to this story. Most epics in the Anglo-Saxon period had a universal theme, which was good versus evil. In the chapter Grendel, Hrothgar would represent the good, while Grendel would represent the evil. The Anglo-Saxon society spoke in Old English. This was the language that Beowulf was written in. Most epics during this time period had a strong beat, alliteration, and it would not rhyme. The heroic code was the basis for Anglo-Saxon honor. It called for strength, courage, and loyalty in warriors. It also required kings to be hospitable and generous.
Alright, for the questions. Question 1. Reread lines 1 through 2 out loud. What mood or feeling does the alliteration convey? So it gives a serious mood and elements of suspense. Question 2. Note the description in lines 23 to 29 of supernatural creatures that are again and again defeated. The answer is, the good will triumph over evil. So, question number 3. What is the tone of lines 44 to 49? What words and details convey this tone? The tone in these lines are very dark and depressing. Words in these lines include dead, joyless, mourning, lost, fear, and demon. Okay, question number 4. What does the Kenning, Hell-forged hands, and line 64 suggest about Grendel, the evil demon that nobody likes? The Kenning, Hell-forged hands clearly states that Grendel is in fact a demon. In the book, there is this picture, and the question for it is, examine the composition or arrangement of shapes in the photograph. How does the angle of the photo contribute to its impact? This picture is very dark, and with its rigid shapes, and having to look up and seeing the tree from the angle of looking up, it gives it a more ominous and spooky feeling. Very dark and depressing look to it. Credits! Yay! It's the end of the video! The picture I used that wasn't drawn by myself can be found in the textbook on page 43, Unit 1, the Anglo-Saxon and Medieval period.